An unexpected visitor. The night sky of New Mexico blazed with stars, a cosmic tapestry Dr. Elena Reyes never tired of admiring. As she adjusted the massive radio telescope at the second array, a faint rhythmic signal caught her attention. Her heart raced as she fine-tuned the equipment, hardly daring to breathe. "Holy shit," she whispered, her fingers flying over the console. "This can't be random noise." The pattern repeated, complex and undeniably artificial. Elena's mind whirled with possibilities. After years of scanning the heavens, had she finally found proof of extraterrestrial intelligence? As dawn broke, Elena's discovery set the scientific community ablaze. Government officials scrambled to contain the information, but in the age of social media, the news spread like wildfire. Humanity collectively held its breath, waiting for first contact. They didn't have to wait long. 3 days later, as the world watched in awe, a sleek, silver craft descended from the clouds, touching down in a field just outside Roswell. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Captain Mira Chen of the newly formed Global First Contact Task Force approached the ship, her team fanned out behind her. Her pulse pounded in her ears, but years of military training kept her outwardly calm. A seam appeared in the seamless hull, widening into a doorway. A figure emerged, tall, slender, with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer with every movement. Its large, multifaceted eyes surveyed the assembled humans with unmistakable curiosity. "Greetings, beings of Earth," the alien spoke, its voice a melodious trill that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. "I am Zix, emissary of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace and friendship." Mira stepped forward, fighting to keep her voice steady. "On behalf of humanity, welcome to Earth. I am Captain Mira Chen." As Zix descended the ramp, Mira noticed something odd. The alien's movements were awkward, almost pained. "Are you all right?" she asked, concern overriding protocol. Zix's skin rippled, a kaleidoscope of colors washing over its form. "Your planet's gravity. It's much stronger than we anticipated. My exoskeleton is struggling to adapt." Without hesitation, Mira moved to support the alien, her training forgotten in the face of a being in need. "Let me help you. We have medical facilities nearby." Zix's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly, an expression Mira couldn't interpret. "Your offer of assistance is unexpected. In our studies of less advanced species, we rarely encounter such immediate empathy." Mira bristled slightly at the less advanced comment, but pushed it aside. "Well, you've got a lot to learn about humans, then." As they made their way to the makeshift command center, crowds had already gathered at the perimeter, held back by security forces. Phones recorded every moment, live streaming humanity's first close encounter to billions around the globe. Dr. Elena Reyes waited inside, barely containing her excitement. As Mira helped Zix through the door, Elena's scientific curiosity warred with her human empathy. "Captain, what's wrong?" "Our guest is having trouble with Earth's gravity," Mira explained. "Can we rig up some kind of support system?" Elena's mind raced. "I have an idea. Give me an hour." As Elena dashed off, Mira helped Zix to a specially designed chair. "I apologize for our lack of preparation. We've never hosted an extraterrestrial visitor before." Zix's skin shimmered with amusement. "Few have. Your adaptability is intriguing. Many species would have reacted with fear or aggression to our arrival." Mira smiled wryly. "Oh, don't worry. There's plenty of that going around too. But some of us prefer to lead with curiosity rather than fear." Over the next hour, as they waited for Elena's return, Mira found herself engaged in the strangest small talk of her life. Zix asked about everything from human social structures to the taste of various Earth foods. In turn, Mira learned that the Galactic Confederation spanned thousands of worlds, with Earth being one of the youngest civilizations they'd encountered. "Your species is at a crucial juncture," Zix explained. "You've developed the technology to destroy yourselves, but also the potential to join us among the stars. The Confederation has been observing Earth for centuries, debating whether to make contact. Mira frowned. What made you decide to reach out now? Zix's skin rippled with colors Mira was beginning to associate with thoughtfulness. Your recent advancements in quantum physics and your efforts to combat climate change showed promise. But it was your music that truly fascinated us. Our music? Mira asked, surprised. The complexity, the emotional resonance, it's unique among the species we've encountered. It hinted at a depth of consciousness we hadn't anticipated. Before Mira could respond, Elena burst back into the room, pushing a contraption that looked like a cross between a harness and a hoverboard. I think this might help, she said breathlessly. It's a modified exoskeleton we've been developing for deep space missions. I've adjusted it to counteract some of Earth's gravitational pull. With Mira's help, they carefully fitted the device to Zix's alien form. As the emissary stood, there was a noticeable difference in its posture and movement. Remarkable, Zix said, taking a few experimental steps. Your ability to innovate so quickly, it's most impressive. Elena beamed, but Mira noticed a flicker of something, surprise, concern, cross the alien's features. Thank you for your kindness, Zix continued, but I'm afraid I haven't been entirely forthcoming about the purpose of my visit. Mira tensed, her hand instinctively moving towards her sidearm. What do you mean? Zix's skin darkened, a swirl of deep purples and blues that Mira interpreted as solemnity. I am here to issue a challenge to humanity, one that will determine your place in the galactic community, or lack thereof. The room fell silent, the earlier atmosphere of wonder replaced by a palpable tension. Mira and Elena exchanged worried glances. What kind of challenge? Mira asked, her voice tight. Zix's multifaceted eyes seemed to bore into her. A test of your species' wisdom, creativity, and compassion. The Confederation has encountered many young civilizations with technological prowess, only to see them destroy themselves or become conquerors. We need to know if humanity is ready for the responsibility that comes with advanced knowledge. Elena stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her apprehension. And if we fail this test? Zix's answer chilled them both. Then, for the safety of the galaxy, Earth will be quarantined. No contact, no sharing of knowledge. You will be left to your own devices, for better or worse. Mira's mind raced. The fate of humanity resting on a test they knew nothing about. It seemed impossibly unfair, yet she understood the logic behind it. How long do we have to prepare? Prepare. Zix's skin shimmered with what might have been amusement. My dear Captain, the test has already begun. As the implications of Zix's words sank in, alarms blared throughout the facility. Mira's comm unit crackled to life, filling the room with a panicked voice. Captain Chen, we're detecting massive energy signatures in orbit. Multiple unidentified craft decloaking. Mira locked eyes with Zix, whose alien features were unreadable. What have you done? Zix's response was calm, almost gentle. We have presented you with your first challenge, Captain. How humanity responds in the next few hours will tell us much about your species' readiness to join the galactic community. As Mira barked orders into her comm unit, mobilizing Earth's defenses, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything, the signal, Zix's arrival, even the gravitational discomfort, had been carefully orchestrated. They were players in a cosmic game whose rules they didn't understand. But if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was adapting to the unknown. As she rushed out of the room, Mira turned back to Zix. You said our music impressed you? Well, get ready for a symphony. Learning to coexist. The next 48 hours were a whirlwind of global panic, frantic diplomacy, and military posturing. The alien ships in orbit remained silent, their mere presence a constant reminder of humanity's vulnerability. On the ground, Zix observed it all with an unsettling calm. In a hastily convened UN Security Council meeting, Broadcast globally in an unprecedented move towards transparency, world leaders argued over how to respond to the alien challenge. "We should strike first," thundered the Russian representative. "Show these aliens the strength of Earth's united military might." "And risk interstellar war," countered his Chinese counterpart. "We know nothing about their capabilities. For all we know, those ships could reduce our planet to ash in seconds." As the debate raged, Dr. Elena Reyes found herself in an unlikely position, impromptu alien ambassador. With Captain Chen coordinating Earth's defenses, Elena was tasked with keeping Zix comfortable and pumping the emissary for any useful information. "I understand your reluctance to interfere," Elena said, watching Zix examine a potted plant with fascination. "But surely you can give us some hint about what you're looking for." Zix's skin rippled with colors Elena was beginning to associate with amusement. "Dr. Reyes, the purpose of this test is to see how your species responds to the unknown. Providing you with details would defeat that purpose." Elena sighed in frustration. "But the stakes are so high. The fate of our entire planet is in your hands," Zix finished. "As it always has been. The Confederation's presence merely makes that reality more immediate." As they talked, Elena couldn't shake her scientific curiosity. Despite the crisis, she found herself peppering Zix with questions about alien biology, culture, and technology. To her surprise, Zix seemed equally curious about humans. "Your physical forms are so inefficient," Zix mused. "Yet you've accomplished so much. How do you overcome your limitations?" Elena laughed. "We're stubborn and creative. When we can't do something ourselves, we invent tools to do it for us." Zix's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. "Fascinating. In our society, we modify our own forms to suit our needs. The idea of external tools is quaint." Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion outside. A group of protesters had broken through the security perimeter, their angry shouts audible even through the reinforced walls. "Go back to space, alien scum. Earth for humans. We won't be your lab rats." Elena winced. "I'm so sorry about this, Zix. Not all humans are so unwelcoming." Zix moved to the window, observing the chaos outside with what Elena thought might be sadness. Fear of the unknown is a common trait among young species. It's how you overcome that fear that interests us. Before Elena could respond, the door burst open. Captain Chen rushed in, her usual composure shaken. "Dr. Reyes, we need you in the command center. Now." As they hurried through the corridors, Mira filled them in. "The Chinese government is threatening to launch missiles at the alien ships. They're convinced it's the only way to prove our strength." Elena's blood ran cold. That's insane. It could start an interstellar war. They entered the command center, a hive of frantic activity. On the main screen, a live feed showed Chinese missile silos opening, weapons primed and ready to launch. "We need options, people," Mira barked. "How do we stop this without escalating the situation?" As the room erupted into a cacophony of suggestions and arguments, Elena found herself looking at Zix. The alien stood silently, observing the chaos with those unreadable, multifaceted eyes, and suddenly an idea struck her. "Wait," Elena shouted, silencing the room. "Zix, you said your people modify yourselves to suit your needs, right? Can you, I don't know, broadcast a message directly into the minds of the Chinese leaders?" Zix's skin shimmered with surprise. "It is possible, but such an act would be considered a grave violation in our culture. We do not interfere with the thoughts of other sentient beings." "But if you don't, millions could die," Elena pleaded. "Surely that overrides cultural taboos." For a long moment, Zix was silent, its skin cycling through a kaleidoscope of colors. Finally, it spoke. "Your suggestion is unexpected. It demonstrates both creativity and a willingness to respect the values of others, even in a crisis. Very well. I will attempt to communicate." The room watched in tense silence as Zix closed its eyes, a soft humming emanating from its iridescent form. On the screen, they saw the Chinese leaders suddenly stop mid-sentence, their eyes going wide. Agonizing minutes passed. Then, slowly, the missile silo doors began to close. A cheer went up in the command center, but Elena noticed Zix swaying unsteadily. She rushed to support the alien. "Are you all right?" The effort was considerable, Zix said weakly. "Your species' minds are remarkably resistant to outside influence. An admirable trait, though inconvenient in this instance." As medical personnel attended to Zix, Mira approached Elena, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "Quick thinking, Dr. Reyes, but I can't help wondering, was that part of their test? Seeing if we'd asked them to violate their own ethics to save ourselves?" Elena's eyes widened as the implications sank in. "Oh God, I didn't even think of that. I was just trying to prevent a catastrophe." Mira nodded grimly. "And that might be the most human response of all. We'll have to be more careful going forward. Every interaction with Zix could be part of this evaluation." As if to underscore her point, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. A technician called out, panic evident in his voice. "Captain, we're detecting massive energy spikes from the ships in orbit. They're moving." All eyes turned to the main screen, where the alien vessels were indeed shifting position. Complex patterns of light danced across their hulls, a silent but unmistakable display of power. Zix, recovered enough to stand, moved to the center of the room. "The Confederation acknowledges humanity's choice to prioritize peace over a show of strength. But the challenge is far from over. You've merely survived the first test." A hush fell over the room as the implications of Zix's words sank in. They had averted one crisis, but at what cost? And what further trials awaited them? Elena and Mira exchanged worried glances. They had bought Earth some time, but the real test was just beginning. As the alien ships maneuvered in orbit, a silent reminder of humanity's precarious position, one thing became clear: the old rules no longer applied. To survive this cosmic exam, humanity would need to rewrite its own playbook. Zix's multifaceted eyes surveyed the room, unreadable as ever. "Prepare yourselves, humans. The next phase will test not just your technology or your diplomacy, but the very core of what makes you, you." As the command center erupted into frantic activity once more, Elena couldn't shake a nagging thought. They were so focused on impressing the aliens, on proving humanity's worth. But what if that wasn't the point at all? What if the real test was something they hadn't even considered yet? With a deep breath, she turned to Mira. "Captain, I think we need to change our approach. Instead of reacting to each crisis as it comes, we need to start asking the right questions." Mira raised an eyebrow. "What did you have in mind?" Elena's gaze drifted to Zix, who was observing a bank of monitors with apparent fascination. "I think it's time we turned the tables a bit. If they want to understand humanity, then maybe we need to help them experience what it truly means to be human." A slow smile spread across Mira's face. "Dr. Reyes, I think you might be onto something. Let's show these aliens what humanity is really made of." As they began to formulate a plan, the alien ships continued their silent dance above the Earth. The next phase of the cosmic challenge was about to begin, and humanity was determined to face it on their own terms. The alien challenge, humanity put to the test. As dawn broke over the New Mexico desert, the world held its breath. The alien ships hung in the sky like silent sentinels, a constant reminder of humanity's precarious position. Inside the command center, Dr. Elena Reyes and Captain Mira Chen were putting the finishing touches on their plan. "Are you sure about this?" Mira asked, her voice tinged with concern. "It's a big risk." Elena nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "If we want to show them what humanity is really about, we need to stop treating this like a test and start treating it like a cultural exchange." Their plan was audacious. Instead of waiting for the next challenge, they would invite Zix to experience human culture firsthand. They would take the alien on a whirlwind tour of Earth's greatest achievements and its everyday wonders. As if on cue, Zix entered the room, its iridescent skin shimmering with curiosity. "I sense excitement among your team, Captain Chen. Have you formulated a response to our challenge?" Mira stepped forward, her posture straight and confident. "We have, Zix, but it might not be what you're expecting. We'd like to invite you to experience Earth, not as an observer, but as a participant." Zix's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly, a gesture they had come to associate with surprise. "Intriguing. And how do you propose to accomplish this?" Elena grinned. "We're going on a road trip." What followed was a whirlwind tour that would have exhausted even the most energetic human. They started in New York City, where Zix marveled at the towering skyscrapers and the diverse tapestry of humanity that filled its streets. "Your structures reach towards the sky with such ambition," Zix commented, its skin rippling with awe as they stood atop the Empire State Building. "Yet they seem so fragile." Elena laughed. "That's humanity in a nutshell, Zix. Ambitious, sometimes fragile, but always reaching higher." From there, they jet-setted across the globe. In Tokyo, Zix experienced the harmony of ancient traditions and cutting-edge technology. In the Amazon rainforest, the alien witnessed the breathtaking biodiversity of Earth and humanity's efforts to preserve it. "Your planet contains such a wealth of life," Zix mused as they watched a flock of makos take flight. "It's humbling." But it wasn't all wonder and amazement. In Delhi, they confronted the harsh realities of overpopulation and poverty. Zix's skin darkened to deep, somber hues as they walked through a crowded slum. "Such suffering," the alien said softly. "How do you bear it?" Mira's expression was grim but determined. "We bear it by working to change it. It's slow and often frustrating, but we don't give up." As they traveled, news of their journey spread. Despite efforts to keep Zix's presence low-key, crowds gathered wherever they went. Some were hostile, holding signs denouncing the alien presence, but many more were curious, even welcoming. In a small village in Kenya, a group of children approached Zix without fear, touching its shimmering skin with wonder. The alien's reaction was unexpected. Its form began to glow softly, emitting a gentle warmth. "Zix?" Elena asked, concerned. "Are you all right?" The alien's voice was filled with emotion they hadn't heard before. I believe I am experiencing what you would call joy. The innocence of these young ones, their openness to the unknown, it is beautiful." As their journey continued, they saw the best and worst of humanity. They visited hospitals where groundbreaking medical research was being conducted, and war-torn regions still struggling to find peace. They attended a rock concert where the music moved Zix to what could only be described as dance, and stood in silent reflection at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. Through it all, Zix observed, questioned, and slowly began to understand. The alien's skin became a constantly shifting canvas of colors and patterns, reflecting the complex emotions of their journey. But their time was running out. As they flew back to the command center in New Mexico, tension filled the air. The alien ships in orbit had remained silent, but everyone knew a response was coming. Back at the facility, Zix turned to face Elena and Mira. Its skin had settled into a deep, thoughtful blue. "Your world is overwhelming. So much beauty, so much pain, so much potential for both greatness and destruction." Mira stepped forward, her voice firm. "That's who we are, Zix. We're not perfect, far from it, but we're strivers. We face our challenges head-on, and we never stop trying to be better." Zix was silent for a long moment, its multifaceted eyes unreadable. Then, slowly, it began to change. Its form shifted and morphed until a perfect replica of a human stood before them. Gasps echoed through the command center. Elena's scientific mind raced with questions, but she forced herself to focus. "Zix, what does this mean?" The human Zix smiled, an expression both familiar and alien on its borrowed features. It means, Dr. Reyes, that I have made my decision. Your species has shown me something I did not expect to find. Before they could respond, the main screen flickered to life. The alien ships in orbit were moving, descending through the atmosphere in a breathtaking display of light and technology. Panic erupted in the command center, but Zix raised a hand, silencing the room. Do not be afraid. My brethren come not as conquerors, but as guests, if you will have us. Elena and Mira exchanged stunned glances. This was more than they had dared to hope for. Guests? Mira asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zix nodded, its human features animated with an almost childlike excitement. Yes, you have shown us that humanity, for all its flaws, has much to teach. Your art, your music, your indomitable spirit in the face of adversity. These are treasures the Confederation has long forgotten. Elena's mind whirled with the implications. So we passed the test. Zix laughed, a sound both strange and wonderful coming from its human form. Oh, Dr. Reyes, don't you see, there was never a test, not in the way you imagined. We sought to understand you, yes, but in doing so, we have come to understand ourselves better. As the alien ships touched down around the facility, bathing everything in an otherworldly light, Zix turned to address the stunned humans. You asked to join the galactic community, but I believe it is we who must ask to join yours. For in your brief history, you have already grasped truths that our ancient civilization had forgotten. The doors of the command center burst open as the first of Zix's brethren entered. They were a dazzling array of forms and colors, each unique and beautiful in its own way. But all wore expressions of unmistakable wonder as they gazed upon the humans. Mira, ever the soldier, stood at attention. On behalf of humanity, we welcome you to Earth. As humans and aliens began to mingle, their differences fading in the face of shared curiosity, Elena felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to find Zix, still in human form, grinning at her. Dr. Reyes, the alien said, its borrowed eyes twinkling with mischief, I believe I was promised a road trip. Shall we show my brethren what that entails? Elena laughed, the tension of the past weeks finally releasing. Zix, my friend, you haven't seen anything yet. Welcome to humanity. It's going to be one hell of a ride. As night fell over New Mexico, the stars seemed to shine brighter than ever before. But now, instead of distant, unreachable points of light, they represented a future filled with endless possibilities. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, not as conquerors or subjects, but as teachers and students, ready to learn and grow together. The cosmic challenge had been met, not with force or cunning, but with the very essence of what made humans human, their capacity for wonder, their resilience in the face of the unknown, and their unwavering hope for a better tomorrow. Unlikely allies, finding common ground. The weeks following first contact were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the aliens' peaceful intentions spread, the initial fear and panic gave way to a global sense of wonder and excitement. Governments scrambled to establish protocols for interstellar diplomacy, while scientists from every field clamored for the opportunity to study and learn from their new cosmic neighbors. At the heart of it all were Dr. Elena Reyes and Captain Mira Chen, now unofficial ambassadors to the stars. Their impromptu road trip with Zix had expanded into a full-fledged cultural exchange program, with alien visitors eager to experience Earth firsthand. One crisp autumn morning, Elena found herself leading a group of aliens through New York's Central Park. The visitors, each shimmering with their own unique colors and patterns, drew curious stares from joggers and dog walkers. And this, Elena explained, gesturing to a group of people practicing Tai Chi, is one of the many ways humans maintain physical and mental well-being. A tall, willowy alien with swirling patterns of gold and silver across its skin stepped forward. Fascinating. Their movements seem to have no practical purpose, yet they radiate a sense of peace. Elena smiled. That's the point, Lux. Not everything we do has to have a practical purpose. Sometimes we do things simply because they make us feel good. As they continued their walk, Elena couldn't help but marvel at how quickly the aliens had adapted to human customs. They wore holographic disguises in public to avoid causing panic, but among friends, they proudly displayed their true forms. Their tour was interrupted by the sound of angry shouting. A group of protesters had gathered at the park entrance, holding signs with slogans like "Earth for Humans" and "Aliens Go Home." Elena's heart sank. Despite the overall positive reception, there were still those who feared and resented the alien presence. She turned to her group, apology on her lips, but Zix stepped forward. "Do not be distressed, Dr. Reyes," the alien said, its skin a calm blue. "Resistance to change is a natural part of growth. We have encountered similar reactions on other worlds." Lux, the gold and silver alien, tilted its head curiously. "Perhaps we could speak with them. Understanding often begins with dialogue." Elena hesitated. "I'm not sure that's a good idea. They seem pretty angry." But Zix was already moving towards the protesters, its holographic disguise shimmering into place. The other aliens followed suit, their forms shifting to appear human. As they approached, the protesters' shouts grew louder. A burly man with a red face stepped forward, pointing an accusing finger at Elena. You're that scientist who's been parading these freaks around like they're some kind of tourist attraction." Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself. "Sir, I understand you're afraid, but these beings have come in peace. They want to learn from us, just as we can learn from them." The man scoffed. "Learn from us? They're probably here to steal our resources or worse." To everyone's surprise, Lux stepped forward, its holographic form that of a tall, elegant woman. "May I ask, what resources do you believe we wish to take?" The protester blinked, caught off guard by the direct question. "Well, our water, our minerals, our freedom." Lux's voice was gentle, patient. "Your planet is beautiful, but it is not unique in its resources. As for freedom, it is not something that can be taken, only given away. We have no desire to rule your world. We simply wish to understand it, and you." A murmur ran through the crowd. Elena watched in amazement as Lux and the other aliens engaged the protesters in conversation. They answered questions, listened to concerns, and shared stories of their own worlds and cultures. Slowly, the tension began to dissipate. Even the red-faced man seemed to deflate, his anger giving way to reluctant curiosity. As the impromptu cultural exchange continued, Mira arrived on the scene, alerted by park security. She took in the sight with a mixture of relief and admiration. "Well, I'll be damned," she muttered to Elena. "They might be better at this than we are." Elena nodded, a lump forming in her throat. "They're so patient, so willing to listen, even in the face of hostility." Mira squeezed her shoulder. "Sounds like someone else I know." As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, the protesters dispersed. Many left with thoughtful expressions, some even shaking hands, or appendages, with the aliens. The red-faced man approached Elena, his expression sheepish. I may have been hasty in my judgments," he admitted gruffly. "Your friends, they're not what I expected." Elena smiled. "That's often the case when we take the time to get to know those who are different from us." As they made their way back to the command center, now a hub of interstellar activity, Elena felt a renewed sense of hope. If they could bridge the gap between species from different worlds, surely humans could learn to bridge the gaps between themselves. But their journey was far from over. As they entered the facility, alarms began to blare. Mira rushed to the main control room, Elena and the aliens close behind. On the main screen, a new set of ships had appeared in Earth's orbit. Unlike the elegant, organic shapes of the Confederation vessels, these were angular, bristling with what could only be weapons. Zix's skin paled to a sickly gray. "No," it whispered. "They found us." Elena turned to the alien, fear gripping her heart. "Zix? Who are they?" Zix's multifaceted eyes were filled with an emotion Elena had never seen in the alien before: dread. They are the reason we sought out young species like yours. They are the harvesters, and they have come to consume your world. The room erupted into chaos as the implications sank in. Humanity had just begun to find its place in a larger cosmic community, only to face a threat beyond their worst nightmares. Mira's voice cut through the panic, sharp and commanding. Everyone, focus. We've faced challenges before, and we'll face this one too. Together. As humans and aliens alike turned to her, awaiting direction, Mira met Elena's gaze. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. Whatever was coming, Earth would not face it alone. Elena stepped forward, addressing the room. All right, people, we've got work to do. Let's show these harvesters what happens when they mess with Earth and our new allies. As the command center burst into frantic activity, Elena couldn't help but marvel at the sight. Humans and aliens working side by side, pooling their knowledge and resources to face a common threat. It was terrifying, yes, but also oddly beautiful. The true test of humanity's place in the cosmos was about to begin, and this time they had friends from the stars standing with them. The turning point: humans showed their true potential. The next 48 hours were a blur of frantic activity. As the harvester ships loomed in Earth's orbit, a global state of emergency was declared. Military forces worldwide were put on high alert, while civilians were urged to remain calm and follow evacuation procedures if necessary. In the command center, now a hive of interspecies cooperation, Dr. Elena Reyes and Captain Mira Chen worked tirelessly alongside their alien allies to formulate a defense strategy. What exactly are we dealing with here? Mira asked, her voice tight with tension as she studied the holographic display of the harvester fleet. Zix's skin had settled into a deep, troubled purple. The harvesters are a nomadic species that travels the galaxy, stripping planets of their resources. They care nothing for indigenous life forms, viewing them as mere obstacles to be removed. Elena frowned, her scientific mind racing. But surely a species capable of interstellar travel would have developed sustainable resource management. Why resort to this cosmic pillaging? Lux, the gold and silver alien, stepped forward. It is not about need, Dr. Reyes. The harvesters take pleasure in domination. They see the universe as their hunting ground and all other life as their prey. A chill ran down Elena's spine. The concept was horrifyingly familiar. A cosmic version of the worst impulses humanity had struggled against throughout its history. Mira's eyes narrowed. So how do we stop them? You must have fought them before. Zix and Lux exchanged troubled glances. We have avoided direct confrontation, Zix admitted. The Confederation's policy has been one of evacuation and quarantine. We identify worlds at risk and attempt to shepherd developing species to safety before the harvesters arrive. But you didn't evacuate us, Elena said slowly, realization dawning. You came to warn us, to prepare us. Why? Lux's swirling patterns brightened. Because, Dr. Reyes, your species has shown a remarkable capacity for innovation and adaptation. We believed, we hoped, that humanity might succeed where others have failed. Before anyone could respond, a young technician called out, panic in her voice. Captain Chen, we're detecting energy buildups in the harvester ships. They're preparing to fire. Mira snapped into action. All defense systems online. Prepare for incoming. But the attack never came. Instead, a massive holographic projection appeared in the skies above every major city on Earth. A harsh, guttural voice boomed out, speaking in a language no human had ever heard before. Zix translated, its voice trembling. People of Earth, we are the harvesters. Your world has been chosen. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and you will suffer before you are consumed. As the message repeated in every human language, panic began to spread. Reports flooded in of riots breaking out, of people fleeing cities in terror. In the command center, silence fell. The weight of the moment pressed down on them all. Humanity's first contact with alien life had been a dream come true, but now they faced a nightmare beyond imagination. It was Elena who broke the silence. "No," she said, her voice quiet but firm. All eyes turned to her. "Dr. Reyes?" Mira asked. Elena stood, her eyes blazing with determination. "No," she repeated, louder this time. "We will not surrender. We will not run. This is our home, and we will defend it." She turned to Zix and Lux. "You came to us because you believed we could do what others couldn't. You were right. Humanity has faced existential threats before, from nature, from each other. Each time we've come together, we've innovated, we've survived." Mira nodded, a slow smile spreading across her face. "She's right. We've spent our entire history preparing for this moment, even if we didn't know it." As if on cue, reports began flooding in from around the world. Scientists were volunteering their expertise, engineers were repurposing technology for defense, ordinary citizens were organizing support networks. In India, a team of computer prodigies had already begun probing the harvester ships for vulnerabilities. In Brazil, biologists were exploring ways to weaponize Earth's microscopic life against the invaders. In Kenya, a group of climate scientists proposed using their atmospheric modification research to create a planetary shield. Elena turned to their alien allies, her eyes shining. "This is humanity, Zix. We're messy, we're complicated, but when our backs are against the wall, we come together, and we don't give up." Zix's skin began to pulse with a warm, golden light. "Then neither shall we. The Confederation has avoided this fight for too long. It is time we stood with our younger brothers and sisters." Lux nodded, its swirling patterns intensifying. "We shall contact our homeworlds. Earth will not stand alone." As the command center erupted into renewed activity, Mira pulled Elena aside. "Nice speech, Doc, but we're still outgunned and outteched. How do we actually win this?" Elena's grin was fierce and determined. "The same way humans have always overcome impossible odds, Captain, we get creative." Over the next few days, as the harvesters began their initial probing attacks, a plan took shape. It was audacious, desperate, and just crazy enough to work. Using a combination of Earth's existing satellite network and Confederation technology, they would create a global web of energy fields. These fields would be tuned to the specific frequencies of harvester weapons and shields, disrupting their systems. Meanwhile, a volunteer team of hackers and alien tech experts would attempt to infiltrate the harvester fleet's central command system. If they could take control, even for a few minutes, they could turn the invaders' weapons against themselves. But the true stroke of genius came from an unexpected source. A group of marine biologists, inspired by the bioluminescent defense mechanisms of deep-sea creatures, proposed a radical idea. What if they could turn Earth itself into a weapon? By releasing a carefully engineered algae into the upper atmosphere, they could create a planet-wide bioluminescent response to harvester energy weapons. The entire Earth would light up, scattering and diffracting their attacks while simultaneously blinding their senses. As the plan came together, Elena couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. This was humanity at its best, creative, collaborative, and utterly indomitable. The day of the counterattack dawned bright and clear. As the harvester ships descended, preparing for their final assault, the people of Earth held their breath. In the command center, Elena and Mira stood side by side, their alien allies flanking them. "Ready?" Mira asked, her hand hovering over the activation switch. Elena nodded, her heart pounding. "Ready. Let's show these cosmic bullies what happens when you mess with Earth." Mira flipped the switch, and the greatest battle in human history began. Bridging two worlds. The sky erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy as Earth's defenses came to life. The global web of energy fields shimmered into existence, creating a gossamer network that enveloped the planet. As the harvester ships opened fire, their energy weapons met unexpected resistance, scattering and diffracting in vibrant cascades of color. In the command center, Elena, Mira, and their alien allies watched with bated breath as the first phase of their plan unfolded. Energy web holding at 89% efficiency, a technician called out. Harvester weapons output reduced by nearly half. Mira allowed herself a small smile. It's working. Now for Phase 2. Across the globe, teams of hackers and alien tech experts launched their cyber attack on the Harvester fleet. It was a battle fought in the invisible realm of data and code, human ingenuity paired with alien knowledge in a desperate bid to turn the tide. Minutes stretched into hours as the digital assault continued. Sweat beaded on foreheads, fingers flew across keyboards, and alien appendages manipulated holographic interfaces with frantic precision. Suddenly, a cheer erupted from the hacking team's station. "We're in," shouted a young programmer, her eyes wild with excitement. "We've got control of their targeting systems." Elena felt a surge of hope. Do it. Turn their weapons against each other. On the main view screen, they watched as Harvester ships began to fire upon one another, sowing chaos and confusion throughout the invading fleet. But the Harvesters were not so easily defeated. As if sensing the threat, the alien ships began to descend rapidly towards Earth's surface, bypassing the energy web and preparing for a ground assault. "They're adapting," Zix warned, its skin pulsing with anxious colors. "If they establish a foothold on the surface, all could be lost." Elena's mind raced. This was the moment they had prepared for, the final gambit. "Initiate Operation Bioluminescence," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. Across the planet, specially designed aircraft took to the skies, releasing clouds of engineered algae into the upper atmosphere. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, as the first Harvester ships breached the lower atmosphere, the world came alive with light. The entire planet began to glow, pulsing with waves of bioluminescence that rippled across continents and oceans. The Harvester ships, their sensors overloaded by the unexpected radiance, began to falter and crash. In the command center, cheers and cries of triumph filled the air. Humans and aliens alike embraced, overcome with emotion as they watched the Harvester fleet crumble before Earth's ingenious defense. But the battle was not yet over. A single massive ship, presumably the Harvester command vessel, remained airborne. It hovered ominously over the New Mexico desert, a dark blot against the shimmering sky. "They're powering up some kind of superweapon," Mira reported, her voice tense. "Our defenses won't hold against that level of firepower." Elena turned to Zix and Lux. "Is there anything your technology can do to stop them?" The aliens exchanged glances, their forms rippling with uncertainty. We have never directly confronted the Harvesters," Zix admitted. "Our weapons were designed for defense, not destruction." A heavy silence fell over the command center. They had come so far, achieved the impossible, only to face annihilation at the last moment. It was then that an unexpected voice spoke up. "I think I might have a solution," said the burly man who had once led protests against the aliens. He had joined the volunteer force, his initial fear transformed into determined alliance. "But it's going to take all of us, human and alien alike." His plan was audacious, combining human technology with alien insight in a way no one had considered before. Using the global satellite network, they would channel the bioluminescent energy of the entire planet into a single concentrated beam. "It's crazy," Mira said, a note of admiration in her voice. "It might just work." As the Harvester command ship charged its superweapon, the people of Earth joined hands, human and alien, former enemies now united in a common cause. Power grids worldwide diverted energy to the satellite network, while alien technology helped to focus and amplify the bioluminescent wave. In the command center, Elena and Mira stood side by side, their hands hovering over the activation switch. "Together?" Elena asked. Mira nodded. "Together." They flipped the switch, and the world held its breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly at first, but with gathering speed, a beam of pure, radiant energy shot up from the Earth's surface. It struck the Harvester command ship with devastating force, enveloping it in a cocoon of light. The massive ship shuddered, its dark hull cracking and splintering under the assault. With a final thunderous groan, it began to disintegrate, raining harmless particles of light down upon the desert below. As the last traces of the Harvester threat faded from the sky, a profound silence fell across the planet. Then, as one, humanity erupted in celebration. From the streets of New York to the savannas of Africa, from the beaches of Australia to the mountains of Tibet, people poured out of their homes, embracing strangers and loved ones alike. In the command center, Elena found herself swept up in a group hug, surrounded by humans and aliens, all barriers of species and origin forgotten in the joy of shared victory. As the initial euphoria began to subside, the true magnitude of what they had accomplished began to sink in. Humanity had not only survived its first interstellar threat, it had done so by uniting with alien allies and showcasing the very best of what it meant to be human. In the days and weeks that followed, Earth began the process of rebuilding and adapting to its new reality as part of a larger galactic community. The Confederation, impressed by humanity's ingenuity and spirit, officially invited Earth to join as a full member. New technologies were shared, cultural exchanges flourished, and the first human-alien cooperative research projects were launched. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now beckoned with the promise of exploration and discovery. One evening, as a spectacular sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Elena found herself standing on the roof of the command center. Zix and Mira joined her, their presence a comfortable reminder of how much had changed. "You know," Elena said, her voice soft with wonder, "when I first detected that signal from space, I never imagined it would lead to all this." Zix's skin shimmered with warm, friendly colors. "You have shown us that the universe still holds surprises, Dr. Reyes. Humanity's potential is limitless." Mira chuckled, shaking her head. "We've still got a long way to go. There's so much to learn, so many challenges ahead." "True," Elena agreed. "But for the first time, we're facing those challenges together, not just as a species, but as part of something greater." As they stood there, watching the first stars appear in the deepening twilight, Elena felt a profound sense of hope. The road ahead might be long and fraught with unknowns, but humanity had proven itself ready to face whatever the cosmos might throw their way. The age of Earth's isolation was over. A new era of cosmic cooperation and adventure had begun, and Elena, along with billions of her fellow humans, couldn't wait to see what wonders awaited them among the stars. The end.